Hello, I'm Hattie Hassan, and I am so pleased to welcome you, Laura Rowlandson, who is the excellence, operational excellence manager at Vaillant. And it's really brilliant to welcome somebody from Vaillant here yet again. And we talk to somebody from Vaillant every year, and this year there's no difference there. Hello, Laura, and thank you for coming on this call.
No, thank you for inviting me. I'm honoured to be here.
And I understand you've not been to a WIT event before.
No, I haven't, and I'm really excited to come with two of my colleagues next week. And I think just being in a space with female installers and kind of seeing and hearing all the stories, it's going to be a great event. So thank you for the invite.
Well, I always say thank you to Vaillant every single year because right at the very beginning in 2017, when the idea was a spark, Vaillant came on board and they've been supporting us ever since. And why do you keep coming back? I mean, it's fantastic, obviously, but
Yeah, no, well, I actually, when I knew I was going to have this call with you, I spoke to Alice Woolley, who obviously was the kind of the first person that you brought the idea to, and she said, "Oh, fantastic! It's a fantastic event. We're proud sponsors, and it's really important." And I think it's actually quite nice to give you an update on where Alice is in her career, because she's been a marketing director for quite a few years, and now she's actually just become the service director at Vaillant. And I think that's just another step in the right direction for women representing, senior roles in the industry. And she's very keen to promote, the profession to females and to kind of build on that. And she's kind of sent me a few notes as well. She talked about, getting into skills, apprenticeship programs, and she's passionate about it. And I think it's, looking up to people, like Alice and what she's done in her career and how then she can pay that forward, which is fantastic.
I think that's fantastic, and pass on our congratulations to her for her upward upward
Yes.
journey. And
Yeah.
one of the things that I find is that what happens is that women they do rise up through the ranks, which is brilliant because that glass ceiling is becoming ever, it's turning into a bit of a cling film, and you just go like that and go through it these days, which is fantastic. But to hear that she's, continuing to champion women is brilliant, because one of the things that happens a lot is companies will say, yeah, we want women, and then they'll bring them in and then they'll promote them out, but they won't allow another woman to come in. Not allow, but they won't. That space will be filled, and not often. Often it won't be filled by a woman, and so it kind of means that we go back to the beginning again. So to hear, and I wouldn't expect anything less, to be honest, that you're looking down, you're thinking, right, how can we also continue to encourage women? It's just brilliant, and so really pass on our congrats and to her. 'Cause I was looking forward to seeing her install the other day, and obviously she wasn't there. But
Yeah. I mean, she's just taken on that role, and like, the new energy that she's brought across as well, from really understanding that customer journey and, supporting kind of our own engineers and then the engineers out in the field as well. So I think she's really well placed to do that. And we do have a strong female director team as well at Vaillant. So we have a really good representation of females. And I think that's what kind of attracted me to Vaillant in the first place. And we do see that pathway upwards, and they're definitely bringing females through as well. So yeah, it's a good company to work for.
that's really good. I mean, obviously because you support the WIT every year, so I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
This year's theme it's quite a topical theme, and it's about looking after ourselves as individuals, but also looking after the industry, looking after the planet. And as women, obviously, we don't just see one thing; everything fits together. In our way of multitasking. If it's going to make something better for us, then it will make it better for the people around us. And so, what we're going to be talking about that in sort of quite some personal ways, but also how we can then spread that out to it's not a new subject to us about looking after things. What is quite a new subject is how do we look after ourselves? Because we're often the last person in the list, aren't we? We're
Yeah.
like, make sure the kids are okay, make sure the husband's okay, make sure the work colleagues are okay, make sure the team's okay, make sure this is okay and that is okay. Oh, hold on a minute, I haven't got any time for me. So
Yeah.
how do we kind of try to
Yeah.
address that?
Yeah, we have to encourage it in each other as well. You know, in my team, you know, I'm like, you know, have you had your lunch? Have you, you know, why don't you go for a walk? And again, my team, they check back on me. You know, have you had a break? You know, you look tired today, or you know, what have you got on? I think just maybe talking things out sometimes. And we have a lot on. You know, I've got 2 children. I work full time. You know, we've got a dog. It's you've got to organise all the school things. So they can kind of take over. But I think sometimes your children show you now, like that you need to take time. You know, my daughter will say, actually, I'm just going to have a relax now because I've had a busy day and I need to, you know, I need to just, you know, have a bath and, you know, put some, you know, some scent in the bath and I can just relax. And I'm thinking, yes, you've got that right. Because actually we all live in a busy world and we just sometimes just need to take that time just to chill out and allow yourself like not to be busy, not to be loading the dishwasher, just to sit and read a book or just to lie and watch some telly. You know, so I think we encourage it, and you know, and we can kind of show our kids that we can slow down and we can take care of ourselves. We can eat healthily. We can make good choices. Yeah, I think it kind of spreads, doesn't it, across other
I
people.
think that, well, that's definitely one of the things that we want to encourage in the event. And at Stopcots, where we look after women who are
Mm,
self-employed plumbers,
mm,
one of the things that we find is, and I did it myself when I first became a plumber, I worked 24/7.
mm,
I worked
mm.
weekends, you know, I worked evenings, I worked as much as I could. And I think it was because I felt like if I don't, then the work's going to dry up and then I'm not going to be able to pay
Mm.
my bills. But after many, many years in the industry on the tools and now helping others, I can definitely say you don't need to work 24/7 because the work will always be there. So
Yeah,
take that time. In fact,
yeah.
I would encourage women to build that time into their businesses.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, and again, when I've kind of spoken to Alice about this, and she said, you know, having me time is important.
Mm.
And yeah, I think you do need to build that in. And I think as kind of women, we almost think sometimes we have to be able to do everything and be the, you know, to be the best mom and to be the best worker and to prove ourselves. And it's like, well, actually, come on, you know, we don't need to do that. We just need to, you know, do our best, but not kind of wear ourselves out. Just
Mm.
accept that there's a balance that has to be had in life. And yeah, I think it's not always easy to find. And I think sometimes you can think, you know, you are putting that time aside and then it slips and then you go back to it. But it's I think the more you talk about it and say it's okay and take that time and you know and look after yourself, the more it will become the norm.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I am my own worst enemy because when people say to me, take time off,
Mm.
you know what my response is? Unfortunately, it's not, yeah, okay, I'll just sit in the garden and relax. It's,
Yeah.
well, if I take time off, I don't actually, everything is still just waiting for me.
Yeah.
It just means there's more for me to do later on.
Yeah.
But actually, with that mindset, and I know, I admit, I need to alter that in
Yeah.
myself as well. And I am doing it a bit, you know,
Yeah.
I am doing it a bit, but it's easy for us to get overwhelmed with all the things we need to do. And
Yeah.
we do need, if we, and overwhelm, and just want to say this, overwhelm is one of those things, it's a vicious circle.
Yeah.
If you allow overwhelm, then you will be overwhelmed constantly.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've kind of like discussed before about mental load and then I think self-employed, you know, my husband's self-employed. You see that, you know, when you go on holiday, it's that how do you switch off your phone, your emails, how do you give that focus? You know, sometimes it can take a few days for, you know, actually to just to go, oh, you know, I'm on holiday now. And I think I kind of recognize that if you're running your own business, you still have all that stuff to come back to, or that nobody's kind of there in the background picking calls up for you. But I think it is important to put yourself out of office, say no, nothing terrible can go wrong. There's always somebody else that, somebody can ask to do something if they really need it to happen. So I do think you need to give yourself that time when you're off, or even in the evening, switch that phone off.
Mm.
Don't look at your emails, so you can just fully focus on yourself or your family and enjoy that time.
Yeah, yeah. And then, okay, so let's say we fixed ourselves now. We are, able to take our time and put
Mm.
our oxygen mask on before anybody else is and all of that. How is that going to affect the outside world? So our families, our work team, ultimately the planet, if you like. Um, I mean, I know how I think it's going to affect it, but what does what do you think? How do you think that us doing that for ourselves is going to
Yeah,
affect
yeah.
everybody and everything around us?
Yeah, I mean, I think we know that people will just get on with it, won't they? They'll do the things that you're not doing. They'll step up, and you don't have to be a martyr in that way that you have to do everything, and it's only you that can do it. So I know that the people around you will step up, and they just need to see that that's their job to do that, and that you need that as well. You need that support from them. So
Mm.
yeah, I don't know if that's kind of what
Well, I
you're
mean,
thinking.
I was thinking more in terms of your own personal productivity
Yeah, yeah,
becomes so
yeah.
much more um, better.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
are not
yeah.
knackered.
Yeah, if you fill your cup, you're gonna produce. If you've got the energy, if you put the energy into your body, you're eating good food, you're taking rest, you're looking after yourself. You're gonna have that great day at work, and you're gonna probably get through a lot more than you would do if you weren't doing all those things. So yeah,
Absolutely. And then your
yeah,
team's going to benefit from that.
yeah, yeah,
And your company's going to benefit from that.
yeah.
And
Yes,
then
yeah,
the world is going to benefit from that
yeah,
ultimately.
yeah.
So, I mean, we can even sidestep and talk about technologies as well that's going
Mm,
to make things easier for us and
mm,
less expensive and less troublesome and all that. And I know that they have just launched a new heat pump and
mm,
stuff like that. So, I mean, you'll be able to talk about that to the delegates on the day because they'll
mm.
be interested. And I've just coincidentally moved into a place that's got a heat pump, so I'm interested in all of that too.
Yeah.
And I can see how, in a way, it is a sideways step, but I can see how not having to worry about the heat production and the effect that it's having on the planet. I
Mm.
wouldn't have thought it at all. If you'd asked me last year when I was living in the heart of West Yorkshire, burning gas like no one's business,
Mm.
um, if you'd asked me how that would affect me personally, I
Mm.
would have no idea at all. But actually, I'm living in a place we've got solar panels, we've got a heat pump, an electric car, and I actually feel like I have less of a load on me personally.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's really weird how those things happen. But you can only say they've happened to you after they've happened. You can't say it's going to happen.
Yes, yeah, yeah. And I think so, I mean, I have a heat pump, I have an electric car. I know I'm in a privileged position to have that. But you do feel like you're ticking that box. We've got an efficient heating system, that's great. We've got lower running costs, but we're also saving CO2, saving the planet. I'm kind of, the recycling every day, making sure we're in the right bits and the cardboard and the bottles. And, I think just adding those bits into your life, which do be, they are part of your life now. Whereas when I was a kid, I don't remember recycling things like that. But all the children know that these will get recycled, and that's important. And this comes
Mm.
every other week, and because you feel like you have a responsibility to the planet, have a responsibility for the children of the future. And I know it's not all that wishy-washy. This is reality. We're
Yeah,
seeing
absolutely.
global warming now, and the vision of Vaillant is very much we're working to that to net zero. We've got heat pumps which are becoming ever more popular, and that's what we're promoting. And I know, like when you touched on what new things we've got at the minute, my Vaillant install for plumbers that want to get into renewables, that aren't sure, that want a bit of a helping hand. We are doing like fully funded systems to take that step. And I think once you have it, like you've got a heat pump now and you've got solar, you think, oh, why doesn't everybody have this? This is amazing. This is the future. So I think, the more installers that can have that in their home, they can really promote it themselves. They can understand the technology. They can be confident and improve everybody's lives going forward.
That's right. And obviously everything starts with the individual. And just bringing it back from global back again to personal, individual. And at most families there is a woman at the heart of it, and she's the in our case, our installers who are coming to the WIP event. And it's really important that she can understand that she needs to look after herself. I was talking to a woman the other day, and she was saying, she was telling us about what was going on in her family, and unfortunately her husband wasn't well and what have you. And saying, oh, what about you? Who's looking after you? And she said the classic thing, which is, well, as long as everyone around me is okay, I'm okay.
Yeah.
And I think we're so guilty of saying that all the time, aren't we? And I can see how, as long as everyone else around us is okay, does make us feel okay. But we need that we need a little bit more, don't we?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean more, as in like we're not being selfish and wanting more.
Yeah.
Just,
yeah. I think just being able to talk to people who understand as well, if I'm having a bad day at work, or, I have that network inside work, outside of work, that I can talk to, and kind of let off steam and talk the problem through, problem shared is a problem halved and all that. So, I think it's so important to be able to talk and to be able to kind of give yourself a bit of a break.
Well, there's going to be quite a lot of that next week. We're going to have our I'm going to introduce the day and give us an update, give everyone an update on what's been going on. Then we're going to have our activity normally, which is our round tables or whatever. I can't exactly remember the order of stuff, but round tables, and we were talking about some of these things, and how we can individually support each other. One of the things about the WIT event, for people watching this who've never been to one, and you'll find out next week, is that it's an incredibly supportive environment to be in. Some women are still in the 21st century, have never met another tradeswoman. And so coming to this event is the only time they're ever in the same room as other tradeswomen, which is, great for them. And sharing the stories, because it's not the saying, no, it's not just me. No, it's not just me. It's all of us in this room, which is a comfort to everybody. Then we'll have our lunch, and we've got the fantastic guest speaker we have every year. We've got Connie Huck this year. She's coming, and we're going to have quite a different format. We're going to have like a conversational format for that. Then we've also got our 5 minutes of fame, where women can share a little bit about themselves. Throughout the whole day, breaks, lunch, what have you, there's loads of time for networking. You'll find that the women will be very engaged in whatever it is you're there for, whatever you want to bring to the event. And then we have a fantastic raffle prize, goodie bags, brilliant like group photo, which is getting bigger and bigger every year. And everyone goes off looking like they've had a day in Sainsbury's, Selfridges, or Harrods even. So it's going to be a great day, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. I know that we've been chatting before the recording, we'll chat a bit after it. But thank you so much for coming on this call. If there's any one word or a last word you want to say to any of the women who are coming to the event, or anybody who might actually want to sponsor the event, what would your words to those people be?
I mean, Yeah, I mean, just please sponsor the event. It's fantastic, and I'm like so honoured to be invited to come. And I just think it's so important, especially for myself having a daughter, that there's representation. And we kind of spoke about this earlier that young girls coming through and at school need to see that being an installer is an option for them, and that I'm really proud to come because I can say to my daughter, look at this, look at where I've been, and look at all these amazing women that are here. And I think that's, if there's anything that I'll take out of next week is that, and I'll take it back to my daughter and I'll say, come on, you could be at this conference in a few years.
Fantastic. Oh, I'd love to see her there.
Yeah.
Well, Laura, look, thank you so much. And I'll see you next week.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.